literally the world came crashing, because it was like my mom was battling her cancer, and then he got sick, and it just felt impossible. But in that process, the gift in it was that we really, and this is going to sound so trite, but I'm telling you, like, it's the way I live my life now, which is that every day matters. Like, there is not one wasteful day, every day. And everything you choose to do in the day matters.
Welcome, everyone, back to the School of Greatness podcast. We have Bo St. John in the house. Yay! Good to see you.
Hi.
I'm very excited. Our mutual friend, Lacey, connected us.
Yes.
She was hounding me. She said, you got to know who this person is. You got to have her on. I didn't know who you were until she was like sending me every video about you.
She was obsessive.
She was like, no, this is my queen, right?
Yes.
She was like obsessed with you. I said, okay, let me start digging in deeper. And I watched some of your videos and heard more of your story and was just like, okay, yeah, we need Bo's in the house. So I'm excited that you're here.
Yay.
And congrats on everything that you've achieved and the impact you've made and the barriers you've broken through in the business world. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And you're originally from Ghana, right? And
yes.
you lived in Ghana for a number of years.
Yes. My parents are from Ghana.
Parents are from Ghana.
I was born in the U.S.
Born in the U.S., but then you moved when you were young to Ghana.
6 months old.
Yeah.
So I had no recollection of my time in the U.S. before Ghana.
Yeah.
So that's why I claim that I'm from Ghana.
Got it.
Because that's where my earliest memories are from.
And when did you move back?
Well, there were a series of things that happened along the way. When I was 5, my dad was in Parliament in the government of Ghana for a president named Hila Liman, who was overthrown in 1982 in a coup d'etat. And my dad was thrown into political detention. So we had to flee the country. My mom, who was pregnant with my my youngest sister, and my 2 other younger sisters. So she had 3 young children, 6 and under, and pregnant.
How old were you?
I was 6.
6, wow.
Yeah. And so we came to the U.S., to Washington, D.C., political asylum.
Wow.
And then we were in the U.S. for about a year. My dad was released. He joined us here. But he's always been very politically active. And so he wants to return to Africa, although we couldn't go back to Ghana. So we went to Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow.
Where we were for about 3 years until it became democratic in Ghana again, and then we went back.
Wow.
And then finally came
How long in Kenya? 3 years, you said?
Yeah, about 3 years in Nairobi.
I went to a private boarding school in 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
And I was in a middle school boys' dorm. And my first roommate was from Kenya.
Really?
He spoke like 7 languages, Swahili, Kikuyu, like all these languages.
This is what I'm saying. Yes.
It was crazy.
This is the thing. Is it like, I think there's such a crazy misperception about Africans, but it's really an Afropolitanness.
Yeah.
That's what I call it, because you are required, to know so much about the world, and because
brilliant.
of colonization, you have people who speak Portuguese and French and
a lot of
English,
French.
Obviously, a lot of French. But, and there's lots of Indian immigrants, lots of Lebanese immigrants, lots of Korean immigrants. So you end up, first of all, the cultures all mesh together.
Yeah.
And then language, so you have people who speak like 7 languages.
That's crazy.
That have nothing to do with their native language, by the way.
Right. How many do you speak?
I speak 3.
3 languages.
Yeah.
Got it.
Two native and then 1.
Got it.
Well, obviously English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay, so you moved to Kenya and then you came back.
Yeah, then we went back to Ghana when I was almost 10. And then we moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado when I was almost 13. And that is where I feel like my formative years really took shape. So when people ask me, like, where I'm from, I usually say I'm bicultural, that I'm Ghanaian, but I grew up in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when you learned the most probably about yourself.
Yes.
And started to,
yes. Things started crystallizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My character started getting sharpened.
Sure.
In Colorado Springs.
But you're probably like, it's mostly like just white people, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah.
You're like just stood out, right?
Mostly. Dude, it was
everyone.
Everyone. Literally everyone.
Did you go to public school, private school?
Yes, I went to public school. Yeah, Liberty High School.
What was
Go
that
Lancers. What was that like?
And were you this kind of personality when you were...
Yeah. I've always been pretty loud.
Hey,
yeah.
use your voice.
Yes. Pretty outgoing always. Except that, I mean, when I came, I mean, it was really tough. I mean, I'm not
sure.
going to pretend like,
sure.
everything was roses. There were a lot of well-meaning and well-intentioned people, not just the kids, the teachers, people at the grocery store.
But just uneducated.
Not educated at all.
Yeah.
Didn't have a world perspective, which was actually shocking to me, right? Because again, my feeling is like, okay, you're in Africa, you are expected to have a world perspective. There's all kinds of people running around, you're speaking all kinds of different languages.
Yeah.
And then you come to the place where it's supposed to be like the better world, the better place, and people have never left. My classmates didn't have passports.
Yeah. Probably
Meanwhile,
never left the state, right?
No, didn't really have a good sense of the world outside of Colorado Springs. They didn't even have a sense of the world outside, like Denver.
Right. Right. They were
And
like the
so
suburbs.
Yes. And so they were very much in their own world. And that's why, like, I'm not angry about whatever that I went through because I just didn't know any better. Like I want people to know better.
Yeah.
I want people to have more exposure. I think obviously technology has helped us out a lot with that because this was 1989.
Right.
Where it's like what you were listening to was, on the TV and on the radio, and then you went to the mall. There wasn't a lot of exposure.
No cell phones.
There's nothing to give you a broader view than whatever's being fed to you.
Newspaper, magazine, TV. Yeah.
All they saw were naked
TRL
kids
and,
with like, Sally Struthers and like distended bellies.
Yeah.
They didn't
From Africa. Yeah,
from
exactly.
Africa. They didn't know that there were skyscrapers. You know what I mean? Or that people drove luxury vehicles. They had no clue. And so there was a lot of involuntary teaching that I had to do. And making sure that like my classmates understood why I had a sense of pride, that I wasn't embarrassed, because then, you're 12. And so there's a lot of teasing going on and people making fun of you and stuff.
What were the big challenges you faced in high school then? Besides the ignorance or uneducated, peers, but was there anything else underneath that?
Yeah, there was a lot of racial tension.
Really?
Yeah. Again, I was also coming into my own. And so I was trying to form my own opinions on race and class and sexual orientation. It was also around the time when Matthew Shepard was beaten to death.
Wow.
And in fact, that incident changed even my relationship with religion, because my parents Colorado Springs is a hotbed for evangelical Christianity.
Sure.
So we went to a mega church, one of those where it's like 3 services, each service is like 7,000 people,
yeah.
That kind of thing.
It's like
Joel Osteen was
style.
Pastor Ted. Oh yeah. Pastor Ted was our guy, he stood on the pulpit and preached a message of hate the day that, the weekend that Matthew Shepard was killed. And it was interesting because even then, even though I didn't really have a good sense of, I didn't know anybody who was gay or openly gay in my high school. Or,
really?
No, my
before
parents
it became kind of popular or
before
acceptable.
it was more open, right?
Yeah.
And my parents definitely did not talk about that kind of thing in my house. But what I knew was what I was feeling as Pastor Ted stood on the pulpit and condemned this young person who was my age, who had been beaten to death. He
made him wrong.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. He made him wrong.
Really?
He made him the enemy. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's not good.
Oh, dude, it was not good at all. But this is like crowd thing too, right? People were applauding and cheering, and the crowd was, and it's like 7,000 people who were screaming. And think about it, he did that 3 times that day. And so when I got home, I was just shaken, and I knew I didn't want to go back to the church. But my dad was a
How old were
deacon.
You then?
I was, 16
Wow.
probably.
Yeah.
And my dad was a deacon. My mom ran the Sunday school,
Right.
It was like
the whole thing.
we sat in the front row behind his wife and his kids. You know what I mean? Like
you were
I couldn't
embedded in the church.
Yeah, it's like, so the decision the next Sunday to be like, I don't feel that good. I just want to say, and then the second week, I don't know if I'm feeling, it became a real problem.
With your dad or your parents?
With me and my parents.
So how did you have the courage to kind of open up at 16 of like, hey, I don't believe or I don't feel comfortable with this type of thinking the way you guys have lived your entire life?
Yeah. I don't know that I could I definitely could not have articulated it then, what it meant or what I was feeling. All I knew was that I hated the way that people, I didn't like the like feeling of blood vengeance, you know what I mean, in the church. And I knew it made me feel uncomfortable and scared.
Yeah.
You know, and it was very similar to, you know, sometimes how I felt like even in the classroom, you know, where it's like if people don't feel like you're an other, how they can gang up on you, you know, and I knew that feeling was not great and I didn't want anything to do with it.
Sure.
So at that point I was just like, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be in that space. And like I said, I mean, I was volunteering at Sunday school. I was part of the youth group.
You were singing.
You know,
you were playing
I was here in
piano.
the choir. I mean, I got a tambourine. You know, like I had the whole thing going.
Yeah.
But it just really, I just couldn't do it. And
So
I stayed at home.
Really? From then on, you never went back?
From then on, I never went back.
What was that like with your parents, or
Oh, terrible.
convincing them, or
Nope. You know, my dad saw it was an embarrassment. You know, my mom was more understanding, but you know, my dad, he just felt like he was embarrassed, like, you know, his oldest daughter.
Mm-hmm. Should be leading the example. Not...
Yes, setting the example, especially when you're African. You know what I mean? It's like you set the example for the rest of your siblings. You know, in everything, whether it's sports or, you know, academics or boys, religion. You know, you have to be the best. That way they can follow your lead. And so if I'm staying home and being like, no, I'm not doing that, then imagine what happens, right? You end up causing riots in your own house. Mm-hmm. Acts of defiance. You know, but I just couldn't do it, man. I don't know. I can't really, you know, even articulate it now, but I knew that was it. I couldn't go back.
Wow. And were you able to cool things off with your father, or?
Yeah. I mean, eventually we just found, I only had 2 years left to go.
Right. So you're like, I'm out of here.
I was out of there.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I mean, we just sort of avoided the subject, you know? All functioning families.
Like great teenagers do.
Correct.
Right?
We just decided not to speak about it. Just like ignore it altogether.
What would you say is one of the biggest challenges you went through then growing up, whether it be internally or through external issues or challenges from being in Africa or being in DC or being in Colorado Springs? Or was there anything that you feel like kind of defined and shaped you?
I mean, you know what? There's a couple of things. One, like, of course, now in retrospect, I can look back and say, wow, you know what? Like, I had to stand up tall because I am tall and I'm so different. And now it's almost like a blessing because I'm clearly facing the same thing in Silicon Valley now, you know, where it's like, oh, okay, you're one. You know, you look around, there's no one else who looks anything like you. You know,
you're one of a kind.
And so I've already been through that, so it's not scary. You know, I don't feel fear in that, right? Or being other. But it took me a long time to like find self-love, you know, just because like when you're faced with not being the object of desire or beauty, right? Or you're not anywhere near the epitome of what it should be, it takes a long time. I think as, you know, as a teenager, as a kid, as a young woman coming into your own, it takes a long time to then discover that, oh yeah, no, I'm beautiful in my own way. You know, that like being this tall and this dark and this, that, and that, you know, it's like, that's okay. Like, you know, I am okay. I don't have to be these other things in order to be accepted. That was tough. That was hard. It's hard being a teenager.
Oh my gosh.
And trying to like.
It's the worst.
Oh, it's awful.
The teenager is the worst for me.
Are the
miserable.
worst. Oh my God, they're so miserable.
Wow.
But that's why like I'm so I'm really excited when I meet young women, you know, who you know, either are struggling with their own sort of worth and being and coming into, you know, their own, because you feel so awkward anyway. And if you're in any kind of situation in which you feel other, you're just looking for connections, looking for anything
to fit in,
to fit in anything, you know? And so even for me, like, I feel like those years helped also strengthen like my need for like storytelling and communication, you know? Like, I feel like I really have been groomed for the career I've had because of that. You know, it's like I had to become like the instant source of everything cool. You know what I mean? I had to know it better than anyone.
Because then you were like so accepted.
Yeah, because then you're the cool kid. You know, then everybody wants to be your friend, right? If you know the latest fashion, you know the latest music, you know all the sports info, dude, I was an encyclopedia.
Wow.
Yeah.
Before Google.
Oh.
You were Google.
Let me tell you something, okay? I wish there'd been a Google, all right? Okay? I'd have been on that, like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
Let me figure out what I need to know about whatever sports scores. No, you had to actually do the work.
Wow.
I had to watch all the games. I had to listen to...
Read the newspapers,
yes,
like everything
Magic FM on 24/7. You know what I mean? Wow. Read all Teen Beat. Spend all my time at the mall. You know, like, you had to get the information in any way possible so that at school, I could be the source of all the info.
Yeah.
Be the coolest kid around.
What would you say is your greatest gift now?
Probably my intuition. You know, that's also been crafted over time.
How did you cultivate that?
Lots of failure. Lots of not trusting it. Mm-hmm. You know? It's like, you know, it's the feeling regardless of where you are. You know, it's not just about like work or whatever. It's about people. You know, like meeting somebody and being like, that person ain't right. You know, and it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're, you know, because, you know, this always happens, right? It's like somebody introduces you to somebody, oh, you know, they're super amazing because they've done
you may not feel it.
And they're like bragging on this person and you meet them and you're like,
Something's off.
I don't think so. You know what I mean? Like, and knowing that that is actually okay, that you should listen to it and back up. You know, don't go forward with this person because something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but something ain't right. And so I've got to listen to that. It also works for jobs. You know, every time I have ignored it, it has been bad.
Miserable jobs, right?
Miserable situations, you know? Or like, you know, it just in general. You know, I feel like just being able to trust it, and it comes in various ways, you know, whether it's like that feeling of unease or it's like that little voice or just something, you know? And it's different for everybody, but for me, I've tried to hone it so that now I react more quickly and I don't question it any longer.
Really? In every situation, even in like intimate relationships or...
Every situation, everything.
Really?
Yeah, it comes down to interviews, everything.
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad you had the intuition to come in here. You're going to walk out on me right away.
No, not at all. No, but truth be told, if I'd walked in here and felt like there was some weirdness... Oh no, I'd just be like, hey, listen, this ain't happening today.
Really?
I appreciate you. Wow. Keep doing what you're doing, but I gotta go.
Wow. Have you done that before?
Oh, I have. Oh yeah.
No way.
No, I have. Yes.
For like press or interviews or whatever.
Anything. Yes, that's right. Yeah, because you know what? You can tell. I know it won't work out. It won't work out in my favor for sure. Yeah, it might work out for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so why am I sacrificing myself? No, no. And I don't even quite, you know, before like I would feel bad and I would need to like try to explain. Now folks need explanation. It might also be because I turned 40 and now I give like zero
don't care.
Fs.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, if I don't feel it, I don't feel like I need to excuse it to anybody.
Wow.
I'm like, that's not for me. Thank you. I'm off to do this.
Right. Now, did you always know that you were, you know, going to be an executive at a big brand and kind of like shaping culture at these different brands?
Nope. I thought I was going to be a doctor.
Really?
Yes. An obstetrician, specifically.
Well, tell me what that is. I'm ignorant.
That's a person who births babies.
Oh, wow. Really? Yeah, I've never given out a baby, so that's why I don't know that. Yeah.
I have, yes.
Okay. Wow. Crazy.
Yeah. Oh,
that's
I
what
had
you wanted to do? What,
that's
in high
what I
school,
wanted to do
college,
in high school. Well, I mean, again, because of the influence of African parents, there were 3 careers I could go into. It was like I could be
doctor,
engineer.
Yes.
See, you know, do you have African parents? Are you?
No.
You don't. Okay, fantastic. Well, that's fine.
That's
anyway,
like
but it was
Asian parents, African parents.
You know, why is it? Why are those the careers? Like, why is that?
It's the safe. It's the like credible.
It's like
it's the
one.
they made it. Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever. It's a badge of honor, I guess. And so I chose doctor because I was good at sciences and math. And, you know, again, because of where I was, I think I was given like some sort of extra praise, you know, because it was like I was a lone black girl. Oh, and I was super smart at like science and math. It was like, whoa, oh my God, this person, it doesn't exist. You know, it's like,
unicorn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh my God. And so it felt like that's what I should be doing. And so that's where I just went, you know.
Right. When did that shift?
In college, I went to college pre-med. Took full course load in the sciences. I was a biology major. And then I took a class my freshman year called African American Studies because there was a guy in there that was real hot.
That's why we do most things in high school, college, right?
You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to lie. Followed him to that class.
Like, okay, cool.
And then the professor was so amazing. This guy, Ashraf Rushdie, incredible professor. And it just opened up my mind. I mean, again, coming from Colorado Springs, there was no African American anything being taught anywhere.
Right.
And so I walk into this class, and it was like, it wasn't just history. It was literature, it was poetry,
music.
Yeah, it was like it was just culture.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was mind blowing to me. I forgot the guy. You know what I mean? I was like, what
you
guy?
fell in love with something else. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You know? And then that kind of like, it was like, you know, the gateway drug.
The catalyst.
Yeah, the catalyst, because it just opened up to other things. There was an American Studies professor who I also really liked a lot, Karichi, who was also teaching things about culture, but American culture. So now it's like not just African American culture. How did African American culture impact American culture?
Yeah.
How did Asian culture impact American culture? How did immigrants, you know, like there was just, it was such a confounding thing to me, you know, to think about American culture and how that would all come together based on all these inputs and over time. And also at the time, Tupac had been killed. He was my favorite artist.
Oh, yeah.
I knew everything. I mean, come on. Hey, ambitious as a rider. You know what I mean? We could go toe to toe. Okay, you don't want to battle me today. Okay,
I'm not even gonna try. Don't worry.
Don't even do it.
You know much more about me.
Don't even do it. Okay.
Culture, music, everything. I can African dance though. I've been doing some African dancing.
You know what? Don't make me
It's like
challenge
almost like
you.
the chicken dance, right?
I swear
It's
to
like
you, listen.
I've got video of me doing it.
We will push this table away and in fact, we'll get on the table, okay?
Exactly, yeah.
And battle it out. But anyway, so I heard that there was a class being taught at USC on Tupac, basically using his lyrics as like poetry, you know, like his lyrics as a sign of the times.
And you were going to USC this whole time?
No, I was going to Wesleyan University. So I was in Connecticut.
Wow.
Way on the other side of the country.
And you heard about a class.
I heard about
USC.
a class being taught at USC on Tupac. And because it was just, you know, it was in the moment, like he had just been killed, you know, like I was grieving, you know, I wanted everything.
I have to take this.
Yeah. And so I tried to see if I could, like, I went to the dean, tried to see if I could do like some sort of transfer class or something. Like, could I like listen in, you know, and like get credits?
It's pre-online courses. Yeah.
You know what? Will you tell these youngins how good they have it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pre-online classes, man. So they said no. Then I was like, ooh, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Karichi, who's my American Studies professor, teach the class.
No way.
So I made a proposal. I took it to him. He said no. And then he said, here's what we do. He was like, you've already created the syllabus. You've already created it. He was like, if you teach it, I will support you. And you can get credit as well as get other students to get credit. And I was like, I'm sorry.
You taught the class?
For 3 semesters.
Shut up.
Yeah.
You taught?
Yeah, with the waiting list. Man, I was popping.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was what, junior, senior, or what?
I was junior. So I taught it both semesters junior year and
they
the
let
first
a student
semester of
teach class.
Teach a class. Yeah. I petitioned. So it was incredible. I mean, we had, you know, I think at first... No, actually, let me not lie. I mean, I think everybody knew I was serious because I was so committed and I really had done my work and my research.
Because
but
you probably talked
first,
to the teacher and you see and you're like, what's the outline?
Yes. Oh, my God. I did everything. I wrote letters. I talked to, I corresponded with the students who took the class.
Collect calls, pagers, everything.
Dude,
you know,
everything.
You're beeping people.
Okay. I was, 411.
Yes. Okay.
Like I would send the codes, all of it. I mean, you know, the hallway phone would ring and I'd run to it and be like, hello, this is Bose. You know, it's about Tupac class, you know. It was so nuts, you know? And I think at first, probably the students thought like this would be fun and easy because it's a class on hip hop, which there were zero classes like that. Plus, it's like a fellow student who's teaching it.
Oh, it's going to be a piece of cake.
And it was at night. You know what I mean? It was like, it was going to be a good time. Mm-hmm. But no, we were being very serious about this and thoughtful. And I would say that it took maybe all of like 2 weeks before we were in. I mean, and we had some of the most dynamic conversations about so it became more than just about the lyrics. It became the dialogue around what was happening in the country. You know, what would cause this very culturally aware, politically savvy young man to then speak primarily about a culture because he's actually putting himself in a situation in which he actually didn't come from. I think people forget that. Think like, oh, okay, he was just a thug on the corner selling drugs. No, that's not Tupac. His parents were Black Panthers. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
And so to think that, okay, he had a voice, or he was choosing to be the voice for a group of people that were unheard, became what I thought was worthy of academic discourse. So
Wow.
yeah, so
that
we'll
must
talk
have
about it
been
for a long time.
incredible. The things you probably learned about yourself from being a student to now a teacher to.
It was so great. It really was so great. A great time.
And so you decided after that, okay, no longer going into
that was
being
it.
a doctor.
That was
like,
it.
I'm going into what?
I don't know. I didn't have a name for it. I did graduate as pre-med. I applied to med schools, got in. Like I was on my way, but I'd also taken African American studies as a major and English. So I was carrying 3 majors. Now I only claim African American studies and English when people ask me like what I graduated, because I'm just like the biology, like seriously, I'm not even interested.
I don't even talk about school because I barely even went to class. I just went to get good enough grades to play football.
See, okay.
And it took me almost 7.5 years to graduate.
Oh, right.
And I went to like 3 different schools, transfer around a bunch.
Wow, dude.
And have a sports marketing degree or whatever, sports management. I can't remember what it's called, but. Yeah,
but
I don't even use what I learned from there. It's like,
But isn't that the truth, though? I don't feel like, unless you're in some sort of like technical field.
Yeah.
I feel like college is a time, just like we're talking about, to discover who you are, what you want to do, who you want to be, really sharpen like your analytical and cultural thought.
Yeah.
And apply that.
For me, it was learning like just social skills, just understanding human beings and understanding how to really enroll people in an idea, which is what it sounds like you did. Where you're like, I need to enroll my professor, I need to enroll this school, I need to enroll this other school to give me the information, I need to enroll students in this vision that you had.
Right.
And you enrolled people.
Yeah.
You learned what made people tick, what made people say yes, say no, and you made it happen, which is the ultimate skill. Well, enrollment, getting people connected to a bigger vision.
And engaging them in a thought, And it's so funny because when I was graduating, I mean, my parents were, super proud because, I graduated, like I said, pre-med. I was on my way to, everything was fine. I partied really hard.
That's great.
And so like I had that going for me, like on my own, like, notches on the belt type of situation, where I felt really good. So I came out of college feeling hella confident.
Mm-hmm. Like, I own this world.
Oh yeah. I was like, socially, I got this. Academically, I got this. Like you can't tell me nothing. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, well, you know what? I'm gonna move to New York City because I can. Because why not? And my parents like, okay, you could do that for a year and then you're going to school.
Right.
So I was like, all right, great. By the way, thank God it wasn't today. Like I would have definitely talked myself out of that. You know what I mean? Like I just didn't know that anything bad could happen to me.
Ooh,
you know what I mean? Because I just thought I was the greatest. I was the greatest thing that ever happened. I was super smart. Plus, I was like socially savvy. What could possibly go wrong?
What happened?
Oh, dude. Oh, my God. So
you moved there on your own?
Yeah, I moved there on my own.
Where did you move?
With like
Astoria,
one
Brooklyn,
friend.
Queens?
I moved to Harlem.
Okay, yeah.
Because I had one friend who... she graduated the year before me, and she was going to Columbia Film School.
Oh, wow, nice.
And so she had a dorm. Yeah, she had a dorm room or like a dorm apartment that she shared with somebody else. And so she said I could sleep on her couch until I found a job. Oh, I thought I was going to walk into New York City and get a job right away. I didn't. What? Look at me. Like, of course I'm going to win. Like, I don't even understand why somebody wouldn't give me a job. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Oh, so like 3.5 months later, I'm still like looking for work on the couch, and she's getting annoyed. The roommate definitely hates me.
Oh my gosh.
Like I have no money. My dad is definitely not sending me any kind of checks. I've made friends with like the little bodega on the corner and this restaurant called El Floridita, which is on the corner of 125th.
Floridita.
Yes. Oh my God, this little like Dominican place.
Salsa dancing.
Dude, like
I've been there.
Everything. What?
I've salsa danced there.
You know what? I can't even take it. I'm about to get up and leave. What are you talking about?
I lived in New York City for a year and a half when I used to salsa dance in all the spots.
With the green like awning, they had the green on the.
Yeah, of course.
What?
Yeah, of
Shut
course.
Up.
Yeah.
Yo, that was my spot.
Yeah.
I loved everybody in there with homies. Okay, like they fed me when I couldn't pay for it.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like.
Good.
I mean,
I didn't go there that much, but I used to know all the spots where they had salsa dancing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, but again,
That's
this
cool.
is like
Iguana,
human.
all these other places, yeah.
But this is why I love when we think about like culture and like connections with people and stuff like that. Like it didn't matter where I came from or that I'd gone to like this super snobby school and thought I was like the biggest, illest thing that happened, Like you make connections with people and they saved my life. You know what I mean?
Wow.
They fed me.
That's amazing.
And then I joined like a temp agency because I was in Floridita when the wonderful waitress who had become like an auntie to me, was like, you need a job. And I'm like, I know, I'm trying to get a job. You know what I mean? But I was like applying for these like highfalutin jobs that didn't make any sense. Now I look back on it and like I laugh at myself.
Yeah. You needed like an entry level.
Yeah, I need like an entry level job. And she had like a niece or something who signed up with a temp agency. And so she was like, oh, you sign up and basically they'll, you call them every night and they'll tell you where you need to go in the morning. Right? So it's like it's transient work basically. But I was like, whatever, anything.
Pay me $50, $100 a day.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. Like I was making zero money. So anything would have been good. So I walked in there and, they laughed at me because I had like, a great degree and like all these experiences. I, speak language. They were just like,
Professor,
they were like, what are you doing here? But they, sent me out on jobs. I was a receptionist at a dog washing salon on the Upper East Side. I filed like National Geographics at this one place for like 2 months, which was awful. Nearly lost my mind in that one. God, I did so many little things. Oh, I was a what do they call them when you're like serving at a party? You wearing like the tux? I don't even know what like just a server, catering, I guess. Like catering. Yeah, yes. So I did that a few times.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I mean, all of these experiences.
It's like what every
now,
model does.
Yeah, right, exactly. Except I was, I was in the club though. You know what I mean? I was out in those streets, get to know people, and God, all the clubs in New York then, which were just so fun and just crazy. I also made so many good friends at that time. Because all of like the assistants or people who were like entry level at their own places. Would like get you in to the party, So like my good friend Moksha Fitzgibbons, who's now very senior at Complex Magazine, I met him that way.
Wow.
Where like I would go to their magazine release parties because they had one every month. And pass hors d'oeuvres were free. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
Open bar.
Oh yeah.
So I go and eat there, right? And it was great, and that just hustling to make it. And then one day I got the like divine intervention, the call. That it was like, okay, Spike Lee had fired his assistant and they needed me to go cover phones the next day. So it was.
You were like, oh, this is my jam.
I was like
something like this.
I was like, yeah, this is me. Yes, this is made for me. So I go in there. I'm wearing like the only gray suit I own. I've pulled my hair back into like a severe bun. I'm wearing these little tiny pearls because I wanted to look professional. And I walk in there and he's like, they sent me Miss America. That's literally what he said to me. Like, I was like, like all shriveled down, like,
oh my gosh.
I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired before I even answer the first phone. And he was like, who are you? And I was like, oh, I'm Bozoma St. John. I was like, it's an honor to meet you, that I just want to help, like, where do you want me? He's just like, just sit down, okay, and answer the phone.
Wow.
Because here I thought I was going to be doing some big stuff, right?
No.
But that turned into a month of answering the phones. I was getting
you
coffee.
come back the next day.
Yeah, I got the dry cleaning, anything, lunch for anybody in the office, everything, whatever needed to be done. I mean, I was fixing the copying machine. Anything that needed to be done, I was doing. Meanwhile, my dad is like calling me constantly and screaming, right? Like, you have an Ivy League degree and you're getting coffee. He was so pissed. And then again, moment of divine intervention. Spike had just finished writing Bamboozled, one of his films that, to me is one of the greatest.
I remember this.
Yes. Pieces of like, just what racial conflict is like in America, right? And what it means and all that. Very, very deep film. He finished writing it and he threw it down on the desk. And he was like, take a look at this, and I didn't know any better. I thought he meant like mark it up. Cause I was an English major. I mean, I was like, oh, let me grab my red pen.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And I marked this thing up. I marked it up. Now, like I literally could die sitting here and being like,
here you go, boss. Like,
right?
This is a month in, 2 months or?
Like, yes, like 6 weeks in.
Wow.
Like I've been getting the coffee in the dry cleaning.
Wow.
Who I think, you know what I mean? Who do you think you are? You just walk in now, you're going to be marking up Spike Lee's script? Like, that's what you're going to do? But like, yeah, he came the next day. He's like, "What'd you think of it?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I made some notes." And he was like,
Notes?
"You made notes on my script?" And I was like, yeah, yeah. And so he just shook his head, and I remember like literally everyone snickering, around. And I was like, "Oh my God, now I'm really gonna get fired," And he goes into his office. Like an hour later, he walks back out. He's just like, "What do you do again?" And that was it. I had a full-time job.
No way.
I got promoted. Yep, I had a little desk. Then I became like the assistant account executive. I didn't even know what the hell that was, but I told my dad I have benefits, so.
You're not a temp anymore, yeah.
I was not a temp anymore. So I just continued to do anything he said. I helped out at the office, and he had started this advertising agency called Spike DDB, which was on Madison Avenue in connection with DDB Worldwide, which is the agency that Mad Men was based off of. So, it's a big deal. New York City, feeling real important. And
now
so
you're getting $35,000 a year, and you're feeling like
what? $35,000? That was
what was it back then?
It was like
26?
$23,000 a year.
Yeah.
$23,000 a year.
I remember my sister when she worked in New York City for a couple of years. I think it was around like 23, 26 grand.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Full time, 80 hours a week type
Full time.
Yeah.
Like all your good years.
Yeah, exactly.
And so anyway, it was just
wow. So how long were you with Spike?
4 years.
4 years.
I was there 4 years, and it was such a great 4 years.
Wow.
Like we worked on so many ads because he was creating his ad agency and trying to, again, change the narrative of what's happening in advertising. So remember he did those Nike ads.
He was famous. I mean, it's one of the greatest campaigns Jordan, of all time.
So he had turned that into his own pursuit, right? Where we did obviously spots with New York Knicks, as you can imagine, and Jaguar cars and State Farm, and we did the Janet Jackson Velvet Rope tour. It was like all of these amazing things, and I had my hand in it. He
threw you in it and said, "I need you to have creative ideas. You want to work on these campaigns."
I was writing the briefs, writing the pitches. Like just again wherever I could help. I was doing, and then the agency was trying to win the business for Pepsi. And Pepsi was going through a tough time and trying to find like the next talent, because at the time it was like, okay, you're going to sign a big artist and they're going to be the face of your campaign. And like I said, I've been out in these streets partying a lot.
Hustling. So you're seeing the upcoming talent. You're like, this person, it's always popping.
We were out there. And Beyonce had just left Destiny's Child, or she was thinking about it. And she had also just done this film called The Hip Opera, Carmen, The Hip Opera on MTV. It was a TV film because she was trying to be an actress, right? She was trying to leave and it's like people weren't necessarily giving her, I mean, now it's like we sit back and we're like, oh yeah, King B, like nobody gonna doubt her, But at the time, it's like, think about it. It's like how many successful solo had come out of groups like that, People were not giving her the credit she deserved, But I saw the hip opera, which I thought was brilliant. I think it was like critically panned, but I thought it was great, because like think about it, like opera being interpreted through hip hop to like a young audience. Holy crap! Like it
was kind of like Hamilton before its time.
It's kind of like 100%. Yes, I mean it was just so brilliant. And so we were in one of those creative sessions, and
with Beyonce.
No, not with Beyonce. Just us, like Spike and the rest of the team. We're talking about all these artists, and Pepsi did have her like on the short list of people they were interested in. But then, in talking about it and going through, it was like, hey, like I just watched this hip hop right here. You know what I mean? And like I thought Beyonce killed it, because she was Carmen. And so Spike watched it, and he was like, she should be Carmen in this spot. Like that's what we should do. And he's going to direct it, and we sold the campaign to Pepsi.
Wow.
And that was it. I was in like Flint. You know what I mean?
Wow.
That was it. The rest is history.
And so then you went over to Pepsi after that, or were you still with Spike?
Yeah, I did. I stayed with Spike.
They stole you or what?
Yeah, I stayed with Spike for a while. But then, like my mind started playing tricks on me. And I started to think that like, even then I started to think, you know what, if I'm just relying on this pop culture stuff, people won't think I'm smart, So, and I was already feeling it. People weren't giving me my credit, for like the small connections you make that turn into magic.
Those ideas that,
you know what
creativity,
I mean? That like it really takes talent and taste.
It's not just like, I guessed and it worked out. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this is freaking
your intuition,
mathematics.
it was everything. Yeah.
Yes, it's all of those things. It's really smart. It's not luck. But I start to feel that like, I wasn't being taken seriously. And like I said, I've been the smart kid in school always. And so I was like, oh, so now what? Like, I'm not smart because I'm doing this, So I quit. And this is one of those moments where I should have listened to my intuition, because I went to this agency where I was supposed to work on smoking cessation. So, like the patch, Nicorette, and all of those, like the gums and things, because it was pharmaceutical, and that was really hard advertising. Only the smartest people went into that kind of advertising, because you had to know the laws, and you had to know all the things in order to create a message that could penetrate and still be legally viable. And so I went to do that. It was a disaster.
Oh my gosh.
Disaster. 3 months in, I was done. It was finished. And so then, I called my friends at Pepsi for advice, like, because I'd made some friends along the way.
Yeah, of course.
And I just wanted like advice on like what else to do. I wasn't actually thinking about Pepsi at all, because my opinion of them were that they were all cut from the same cloth. They were all MBAs who went to the top 10 schools, came in as an intern class together, were promoted together. It was a club.
Yeah.
And I wasn't part of the club. I wasn't in, and one of the guys that I've been really close to was like, would you consider working here?
Really?
Like, we think you'd be really, really great. We could use your perspective. And I was like, oh, hell no. I was like, this look like I can't do that, And so I went in for like a series of interviews.
The old white boys club or whatever.
100%.
Right.
They were all wearing like khakis and the blue button-down shirts. Oh my God. I had a nose ring at the time.
Nice.
Like, I was not one of the peoples,
Yeah.
But this again goes back to like my
never have been.
childhood. I've never been.
So you fit right in.
So I got there and the work was interesting. And so I was like, well, you know what? I've never been afraid before. So I'll give this a shot.
Wow. And what was the biggest lesson about working with Pepsi for you?
Oh, I think, you know what it was? I think it was the validation of like knowing that pop culture can drive business. That was the first time that I knew it for sure.
Wow.
That like, this is not a game.
What's interesting is it seems like it drives business, but does it drive politics after what happened?
Yes, of course it does. So I think this is an even bigger lesson now, today.
Well, with all the artists and celebrities endorsing one party that didn't win, does it work?
Yes, it does work, because it's about how to focus the message, right? I think we forget that it's not actually about the artist, it's about the audience, And so it's like, you can't it's like any brand or political organization that puts their money on the artist and forgets the audience is going to lose.
So don't put it on the artist.
Don't put it on the artist. The artist is a tool, like every other pop culture avenue. You have a set of tools, and you're going to use all of them to get to the audience. But as soon as you forget the audience, you're dead, right?
So how do we remember the audience and deliver the message through an artist or an influencer or something like that?
Because it always starts with them. It always starts with the audience. It's like, what do they want? What are they feeling? What are the things how are they behaving? You have to fill that void. And then you can fill that void by using an asset that they will listen to, right? Insert artist or insert platform or league or whatever.
So did Hillary not have the right artist then, or?
No. She didn't pay attention to the audience. So no, because she had all the right artists.
Right.
Everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
Hell,
she had all the right artists. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She had you getting all the artists for her.
Yeah.
She had the artists, but she forgot about the audience.
The audience. I think the audience. But I mean, she readily admits that as well.
Right.
Whereas Trump was firmly focused on the audience.
And he had a clear message for the audience.
Absolutely. He knew the gap, and he talked to it. Win. I mean,
That's it.
And I know it's like, now it sounds easy or making it very simple, and it's hard to do that.
And he executed with his conviction
mercilessly,
day after day, stood by his vision.
All of it. And he did use also pop culture to drive the message.
Well,
so it's not as if he didn't.
Yeah.
But he had the message for the gap that the audience was looking for.
Crazy.
And that's the thing, is that even though we can look at it and say, okay, well, that's a very small audience, but how powerful when you engage an audience that is movable. You know what I mean? Even if they're tiny, Like, and I think that's, again, what we forget. We're like, oh, okay, well, there's this little niche. They're not powerful. No, they're very powerful if you engage them. If you strike their passion or their emotion, they will move. They'll do anything you say, right? Without question.
Yeah.
They'll forgive you for anything.
Everything.
Anything.
Kill people.
Yes. Whatever. You know, and that's the power of great marketing. You know, is that you will actually be forgiven. The wrongs will be overlooked because people feel like you've connected in some way.
Wow.
Yeah.
What is the key to building a great brand, in your opinion? And really making an impact on the audience you're serving. And, and have it just like grow exponentially, and just like, what are all those elements that you've seen? I mean, it seems like you're the top. You've been in so many different brands, part of so many campaigns, so many different sectors, seen all the biggest celebrities build their brand.
Well, in addition to the audience, I think you also have to start with the brand truth. You know, because you really can't make it up. You know what I mean? Like you can't go get somebody else's truth and then pretend it's yours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it has to start with some brand truth.
So how does someone create that? Or how does is that like a mission statement, you mean? Or
yeah,
kind of
it's like a mission statement, but it's also just like understanding the brand itself. You know, what role does it play in the world? You know, because when a brand launches, it has no brand presence, right? But then it becomes something to people. And I think part of the challenge is like actually listening to what it has become instead of wishing for what you want it to be.
Because the audience may take it somewhere on its own.
Yes.
The customers, the
Correct.
clients.
They have already created something. So then you got to actually listen to that thing. You may not like it, but you got to listen to it and then figure out how to create messaging so that you warm them to maybe evolve, you know, the conversation. But first you've got to embrace it. Go ahead and give it a big bear hug, you know, and say, okay, this is what the audience believes this brand is about. Right. Yeah. And then work through that. So at Pepsi, it was like, okay, Dew was, you know, the brand for the great Mountain Dew,
which Pepsi owns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the brand for the crazy white boy.
Yeah.
The one who's jumping off roofs.
Yeah. The
flying
alternative,
off mountains.
Like,
He's doing all kind of. He's got insurance. He's doing all kind of crazy shit. You know what I mean?
The BMXer, the skateboarder.
All of that. Yeah. But actually, interesting enough, there was a time, actually right when I started, when there was an urban myth that was released that yellow dye number 5, which is the key dye ingredient of Mountain Dew, would shrink your package if you drank it.
Yes, I remember this.
I mean, one of the best like counter marketing tactics of all time.
Right.
Like it should, if it's not already a case study, it should be. Like it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Almost killed the business.
I can imagine because everyone's like, guys want to drink.
I'm not gonna drink this. You know.
I'm gonna go get Sprite.
But the thing is that the brand truth was not just about like the crazy white boy, but that like this beverage would give you a boost of testosterone. You know what I mean? Like if you were that guy who
people
was walking
believed
around,
it.
they believed that. You know what I mean? Believed it. So you just gotta lean into that belief. You may not like it, but you gotta lean in there. And then the solution was that, you know, looking at what other audiences also believe that kind of thing and what are their expressions of it, right? So for black men, what did that mean? You know, maybe they weren't jumping off the side of the mountain, but what were they doing to express that extra testosterone? Mm-hmm. And then go to that thing, right? And make Dew part of that message.
Wow.
It's not the same for Pepsi. You couldn't take Pepsi there. You know what I mean? Pepsi does not belong. Pepsi belongs with Britney Spears. Okay.
Yeah.
And all the other pop.
Shania Twain.
Oh, all of that. You know what I mean? Pepsi's having a good time.
Yeah.
They don't want any kind of danger. No. You know what I mean? Drinking maybe champagne.
Yeah.
Not drinking Hennessy.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
We all know that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So again, I think that like regardless of the brand that I've worked on, it's about accepting the brand truth and then leaning towards that thing and cultivating some goodness out of it, because there is good in all of the brand truths. You know, you just have to uncover it and then move your audience to accept whatever evolution you're trying to get to, right? Because they got to trust you first.
Right. And so you were at Pepsi for a few years, and then was it Beats after that, or was it?
Yeah, I went from Pepsi to Beats.
Really? How did that relationship work with Jimmy and Dre? And how did they either find you or you find them or whatever?
They found me. Mm-hmm. So I was going through the toughest personal experience. My husband had been diagnosed with cancer 6 months, or he'd been diagnosed with cancer in May of 2013. It also come right after probably at that time anyway, my greatest career achievement, which had been working with Beyonce on the Super Bowl halftime show in New Orleans.
Was legendary.
It was just, I mean, there are stories about that. That'll be the next time I come.
A friend of mine was a dancer in that show.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was just, because I think people forget that, she sang at President Obama's inauguration. And remember that she was almost beaten down because she used a backing track for the wind, and people were saying that she couldn't sing. That's why she did it. Who says that? Are you out of your mind? What? All the receipts this woman has? Yeah. And she used a backing track and now she's going to be panned? Are you out of your... And that was a week before the Super Bowl.
Wow.
So it was you had to get through all of that. Plus, the added pressure was that because of the ban on Janet Jackson, there had been no black woman on the stage for 10 years.
Wow.
Beyonce was that one. She was the holy grail.
Pressure.
It was the pressure of the whole moment, So you do, the inauguration, which is supposed to be an amazing, beautiful thing. People are coming at you because they're you can't sing. What?
Crazy.
And then you're literally sitting on the burden of, carrying the weight of black women everywhere, our redemption. Wow. You got to kill the entire performance because that's Super Bowl anyway. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter who you are. That performance is lots of pressure.
Yeah.
So coming off a very emotionally and corporately difficult time for me with highs and lows. Mm-hmm. And then 6 months later, my husband was diagnosed with cancer. Unfortunately, neither of us were new to cancer because both of our mothers had battled breast cancer. And at the time he was diagnosed, my mother was going through her second bout, actually. Man. So literally the world came crashing, because it was my mom was battling her cancer and then he got sick. And it just felt impossible. My daughter was 4. And it was just I don't understand how this happens, but we went into overdrive. It was okay, we're going to make the t-shirts. We're going to make the Facebook group. We're going to have the prayer circles, we found the best oncologists, all the alternative treatments, everything. And then he died.
Oh man.
After, it was just even as I sit here talking to you, it's still unbelievable to me. He was just so big. His spirit was so big. It doesn't make any sense to me. We didn't plan our life for him to die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's unbelievable that could happen.
Wow.
So he passed away in December of 2013.
So quickly after he got diagnosed.
Yeah, 6 months.
6 months after.
Yeah, from his diagnosis to his death.
Gosh.
It was very, very quick. But in that process, the gift in it was that we really, and this is going to sound so trite, but I'm telling you, it's the way I live my life now, which is that every day matters. There is not one wasteful day, every day. And everything you choose to do in the day matters, right? Because that's what we're faced with. At the time when the oncologist was okay, you guys are going to have to be very purposeful because guess what's going to happen? Tomorrow, he's going to wake up and something else is not going to work. So you're going to have to decide today what you want to do. And then tomorrow when you wake up, see what's working and then do something again. Okay? And then the next day, and that's why we lived. It was being under the most intense pressure, trying to prepare for the end, but trying to live for today. It was just,
there was no hope, or they were not giving you there's no chance.
No.
Oh my gosh.
We tried. It was 9 different chemos, all the radiation, nothing was working. It just kept getting worse. And so by the time it was October, in fact, October 25th, so anniversary coming up, where it was just, then college was just nothing's going to work. And so you guys are going to have to decide what you want to do. And you probably have about 3 weeks after that.
Oh my gosh.
And we were, stunned silence, sitting there we don't understand what you're saying. We don't understand what you're saying.
What was he like? What was he like in those moments where he knew there was only a month or a few months left? And how did he handle that? And what did you learn about yourself watching his process?
Yeah. Well, he, it's so interesting because it's I actually haven't really thought about that. He vacillated between being super pissed, being very angry about his diagnosis, about being robbed of his life. He was not yet 44.
Oh.
Like I said, we had a 4-year-old. We're living our best lives, right? And he was really pissed, to be robbed of it. And at the same time, and this is what makes it so complicated, is that, and also part of the blessing, which is that because the oncologist, who, by the way, God bless her, she was like this little tiny sprite of a woman, full of energy and like determination, so she did everything. She gave us all the options. But it was her message of like, just do everything, whatever it is that you've wanted to do, do it. Like, don't wait. Like, don't come back here and hopefully don't do that. Like, just live it, And so he vacillated between this anger, but then, as it was coming true and as things were failing, his body started failing him. He was so urgent, to like live. So it replaced the anger, And so I feel like it trained my muscles, on like living urgently, that there was no other option. We quickly realized that anger has no place. What are you gonna
wasting
be mad?
energy, wasting time.
Like, what are you going to do? You going to be mad for what? You're going to sit there and be upset? Like what? And are you going to bicker over something stupid? You don't have time. You don't have time. So now it's like, even it's almost 4 years. And even now, like when I get upset about something, it burns so quick. I could used to be the master hoarder of anger and feelings. You know what I mean? I would hold a grudge. Like
years.
Woo, man, I was a professional. Okay?
Yeah.
But now my anger burns quickly because I just realized that it has no purpose. It doesn't drive me to do anything better or greater or live any better. So I'm really trying, and I'm still working at it, but like I really do try to remember that.
Yeah.
I know.
Come on,
shocking. I know. It's shocking.
What would you say is, if you're willing to share, one of the most beautiful moments that you guys had together in those last few weeks?
Oh, man. There were so many, to be honest. November 9th was our anniversary of our first date.
Oh, my gosh.
And so that November 9th, actually like posted on Facebook and whatnot, because he was getting his chemo treatment because we hadn't yet, we were still getting treatments, although we were not staying at the hospital, but he would come in and out. And I was like sitting with, and he was a collector of fine wines, which again is, part of the lesson, which was just like, what are we saving these bottles for? So we cracked open this like super expensive bottle, you know what I mean? He obviously couldn't drink it. So I drank it by myself. Yeah. Just sitting on his hospital bed. He's like sitting there with the IVs. And, I was just looking at him and just like, like of all the years, we'd been together 13 years, married for 10. And it was like, wow. Just remembering all of the things and remembering the small, stupid things that I was angry about or that I resented or that I wish had been better or And we decided in that moment that we were going to confess everything that we'd ever harbored that we hadn't talked about.
Holy cow.
Yeah. And it was
some crazy stuff that opened up for both of you?
Yeah, because it was like so stupid and so little, like stuff that you were just like, I can't believe I'm so mad about this, but let me just tell you. You know what I mean? Because it felt like the releasing, of things. And it was probably one of the most beautiful gifts. Because again, the lesson was that like I just can't hold on to anger or little petty things, or even the big things, that somebody does something to you and you're mad about it. Like you need to talk it through. Don't hold on to it. But it was a beautiful thing because it was like our anniversary, which we always celebrated. We got married in June, but that was like our anniversary moment. We probably celebrated bigger than our wedding.
Yeah.
But it was just, to think that, God, we don't have much time left, and we've got to release everything that we've got, just let it go, It also taught me a lot about relying on other people, because up until then, I felt pretty invincible, pretty self-sustaining.
Yeah.
I was Wonder Woman, Wonder Mom, Wonder Executive, Wonder Everything, Wonder Wife, all that. And then you realize that you're truly powerless, and that you've got to rely on other people for help. And that's not a sign of weakness, actually.
Yeah.
To get help.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Which has also been great since, because I don't mind asking anybody to help me.
That's good.
Nope. Now I'm just like, hey, listen. So I got the dry cleaning that I need you to pick
need some
up.
support.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like the little things and the big things. Like I'm not at all afraid. And that's why it's like, even now when they're like, oh my God, how do you do it all? I'm like, I don't do it all.
Right.
Like, there's no pride in that. I don't find any pride in carrying it all yourself. Like, you think that makes you big and bad? No, it's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
So you share that weight. Ask people for help.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to continue asking you. We got about 15 minutes.
Oh,
so I want to see
how
much.
is this possible?
I want to see how much I can get in.
Okay.
In 15 minutes. And thank you for sharing all that about the process and that experience, because I know that's got to be probably one of the most challenging things that any human could ever go through. So thanks for sharing and opening up about that. Yeah. I wanted to get back to the Beats experience.
Yes.
Because I think there's so much of your life that is fascinating to understand. And, after watching the Defiant ones, I'm just like, were you in that, by the way? I can't
Yes, I was.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm sure there was a moment where I started just forgetting now, because I
Yeah.
didn't know about you
I had
until.
different hair.
Yeah. Which was unbelievable, the Defiant ones. And so I'm just curious how you got involved. It sounds like they snatched you up from Pepsi.
Yes.
What that journey was like.
Yeah.
And kind of like, where you're at now.
Yeah.
In 15 minutes.
In 15 minutes. Okay.
I don't know.
Here's the thing. I mean, it really does connect, because after my husband passed away, I met Jimmy, I think 2 months later, maybe almost 3 months later. And I was just in a vulnerable state. I needed something else to believe in.
Of course.
And by the way, make no bones about the fact that I love to work. I love my work. I love the things I do. I just need to find new purpose. And he was saying all the right things.
He was,
He was saying, because Pepsi was big and I was successful, and, I could have stayed there another 20 years if I wanted to. But I met Jimmy. He reached out. He had, some people find me. And I was already in LA for my sister's wedding. And so I got the call, which was like, Jimmy Iovine would like you to come to his house. And I was like, word? For what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I get to his house. And
was Beats big by then, or was it like...
Yeah. It was big.
It was well known.
Well, Beats Electronics was really big. Beats Music had been launched actually on my birthday, like 2 months before that. So it was still new, very, very new. And Jimmy was basically like, hey, listen, I've had many turns in my career. I've been successful at all of them. All of them have been in music, and then now it's like this electronics thing. But he wanted his legacy to be, and Dre and Trent Reznor, like, all wanted to change the way, the music business was, the trajectory of the music business. Because we all know that the value of the music itself was starting to be lost.
Yes. And
right?
This was 2014?
Yeah, this 2014.
So the headphones were big.
Headphones were big.
Now they're doing the music
Music
stuff.
service had just launched.
Got it. But this is right around the time when, like, no one was buying records anymore.
No,
it was just kind of like all streamed or free.
Everything
downloading.
was free.
Yeah.
Everything was free. And so artists were no longer making music to sell.
And they were like, how do I make money?
Yeah, they were on tour.
Yeah.
And anyone will tell you that an artist on tour all the time
exhausting.
Will kill you.
It's exhausting.
It's like freaking people are taking 5 years to make albums. Now you're churning out albums
every
like
2-3 years, and then
it's like every year. So in any case, I really loved the message, and the fact that, because what he was talking about was in the future, and I was in an emotional place where I needed the future. I needed something to grab onto that could pull me forward. And so quite honestly, I simply went because nothing else anybody was talking about was about the future. And I was like, if I sit here and just wallow in this grief and like keep doing the things I've been doing, I won't survive. I needed something to just push me forward. So I said yes in that meeting. Like, first time meeting him, he was like, you should just move out here and come work for me. Because I lived in New York. And I was like, okay. You know what I mean? So I go back to that house and I fly back to New York and I'm like, Ma, So and my mom had come through her battle and was healthy, was recovering. And I was like, so I quit my job at Pepsi and I'm going to move us to LA.
Wow.
And she was like, the hell you are. You know what I mean? Like, it was not happening. But, you know, thank God she's a trusting person. And she was like, okay, I'm coming with you because you're probably having a mental breakdown, which I probably was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I moved and I walked in with all the confidence of feeling like, okay, this is going to be the savior for me, you know, provide for my family. Because I was also facing the tremendous pressure of thinking like, okay, now I've got a 4-year-old that I've got to support by myself.
Yeah.
I had not planned on being a single mother.
Right.
That was not the agreement I made, you know?
Sure.
And so I went in feeling like, okay, I'm going to make this work. And literally it was like my first day, you know, I signed the paperwork. They shut the door. Jimmy's like, come with me. I walk into the room. It's like Dre, it's Trent. There's some people I don't know, but they look vaguely familiar. Now I know it's like Eddie Q and Tim Cook. He's like, so we're going to be acquired by Apple.
Right
and
then.
I'm like, the hell? What?
Like and then the first day or first week?
It was the first week.
Wow.
It was like
Tim Cook was there.
4 or something.
Oh my
And so it was like in the course of 2 months, after that, we were acquired by Apple.
It was like transitioning, preparing for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
By June, we're sitting in the like Apple keynote and being announced that Apple is going to acquire Beats.
Wow.
And then we took the next year to build Apple Music and create a new brand.
Wow.
Which, like, again, I can't express enough how important that moment of time was for me.
I'm sure.
You know, to give me something else to look to, right? To just keep propelling me forward. And that's really what, you know, it's like I've talked to a lot of people now who, you know, especially women who've gone through something like this, you know, lost their spouse. And, you know, the number one question is always like, how do you make it? You know, how do you make it out of this period? And my advice is that, like, listen, I don't know what's going to help you because grief is different for everyone, right? But for me, I needed the future. You know, I needed the future in order to pull myself out of the current grief, right? And so that period of time, I'm always grateful for because it just meant that like I was building towards something.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you were there for a few years.
Yes. 3.5 years. And then.
And what was the biggest lesson you learned from Dre or Jimmy?
Oh, man. The hustle. The hustle. I mean, neither of those guys have had it easy. You know, Jimmy will tell you that, like, he grew up in Brooklyn.
Yeah, watching the documentary was amazing.
Yeah, Italian guy, you know, like and he was not the biggest guy, so he had to have a slick mouth, you know, and watching him, like, walk in a room. But you know what? Actually, no. Let me change that. The biggest lesson from Jimmy is, like, how he connects with people. You know, you'll be in his office and you will feel like the most important person.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah. You know, he's that way with artists. They trust him, you know, implicitly. Not because, like, he's always made the right call, although he'll tell you he always made the right call. But because he
cares.
Yeah, he cares. And he really, I mean, he goes the extra mile. He'll make the phone calls. And he's urgent. You know, it's like if you're sitting in a meeting, you know how sometimes you're like in a meeting, people are like, yeah, so next steps are, let's get a meeting with this person.
It's like on the phone now.
Every time, don't ever go into a meeting with Jimmy and pretend like you're going to come out of there with like some next steps you got to do later. No. You better be on the phone in the meeting, be like, actually, just give me 1 second. Let me call.
Let's do this now. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And get the answer, you know? And so the biggest lesson from him was about urgency. And then Dre, it's about maniacal focus. You know, like just the focus, like, and knowing that you don't want anything to come out that you don't feel proud of. Yeah. You know, he does not care about your pressure or your timeline.
Yeah, it took him, 10 years to do his album or whatever.
Like, if it doesn't feel good, it's not coming out. You know? You know how hard that is? That's difficult in the, like, face of so much pressure, outside pressures from everything.
Yeah. When you got some resources and money, you can be
but
more
still,
patient. But
there's still pressure because, you know,
course.
People are making their living based on the thing you're going to produce.
Expecting you something.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, there's disappointment from your fans and from all kinds of people who will talk about you. Wow. You know, question your talent. You know, question your sanity. And you're sitting here like, but the beat's not right.
Yeah. Wow.
You know?
Wow. And so you had a great experience there, Beats, and then you transitioned to Uber a few months ago,
yes,
right?
3 months ago.
Why did that transition happen? Why not stay at Apple? And
Yeah. Well, I mean, I definitely was on a trajectory at Apple. You know, I'd done the keynote, which was great, and was getting lots of praise for that. And then, again, divine intervention. I met Ariana Huffington at a dinner.
She's great.
Oh, she's awesome.
We've had her on a few times.
Oh
Yeah,
my
she's
God,
great.
I love her so much. And she's another person, actually, talking about lessons with people who also makes you feel like you're the most important person.
She does.
She connects and she won't let go until you're done with the conversation. You know what I mean?
She's great.
It's such a great thing. Any case, I was talking to her because she joined the board of Uber. And because of all the work I've done in pop culture and blah, blah, and like Delete Uber had just happened when I met her. And so
it did?
Yeah,
Delete
it had
Uber.
just happened.
Because of that's a whole other
The
thing.
travel brand. Yeah, there was so many things.
Yeah.
But you know, what was interesting to me was the fact that Uber didn't do anything differently than Lyft or anybody else. Everybody did the same thing. So why did Uber get painted with this like horrible brush? That's a branding problem.
Yeah. It's the story they were telling.
Yes.
The stories that were happening.
They weren't telling their own story. Everybody else was telling it for them. And so that's actually what I said to Ariana. You know, we had a very philosophical conversation about brand marketing, what it meant. And then obviously, like we've been talking about the evidence of pop culture driving business or destroying it.
Yeah.
And, you know, me saying, I was just like, hey, listen, I'm like, freaking, I feel like I'm the foremost expert in this.
Wow.
You know, like I know what I'm talking about. And she was like, well, do you mind like telling Travis this stuff? Like whatever you're telling. I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. When I have time.
Yeah.
You know? And so lo and behold, Saturday afternoon, she's like, come to my house. He's there for an hour. And I go in and I meet with him and it turned into 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. We're just pontificating on the situation. And literally I left there thinking, I think I have to go work there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Oh my God. Am I actually going to do this? Like, I'm going to quit my job and go work here.
Wow.
Like, and like I try to shake it. I liken it to like fall in love with the wrong guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're just like, oh God, I really like him.
You're right.
You know?
You kind of felt like your time had passed at Apple or with Beats.
I definitely had things to do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I just couldn't pass up the opportunity. You know, it was like I'd already been in this like amazing position to recreate or to create a brand actually from scratch because we created Apple Music from scratch.
Yeah.
Which in a marketer's world is that's Mount Olympus.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like you have all the resources you need. You can access anything.
I mean, you're living the life. You know what I mean? You're good.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And the thought that like I could have the opportunity to have yet another brand sort of, you know, on my record that says I did that. Like I did that.
I brought it back
It's just too sweet. Like I couldn't.
Tastes good.
Yeah, man, delicious. And then plus, you know, and I've been pretty open about this, which is that like I am unhappy with diversity and inclusion in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
It is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And so
it's like you're the only black person probably, right?
I mean,
especially black woman.
You know what I'm saying?
Right?
I'm like, there are lots of black people everywhere who are talented. Black women are currently the most educated group in the United States of America.
Wow.
Why can't they get jobs in Silicon Valley? Doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense. So if there's going to be a brand that's going to be vilified for its lack of diversity, which, by the way, the numbers are greater than most Silicon Valley companies, including some that I've worked for.
Right.
And people want to paint that as the scapegoat. Fine. Let's do that. Because once we can prove that all of these conditions that are being painted as like the horrible things that are happening in this company, and we can fix that, guess what's going to happen? It's going to come for the rest of them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's like, then I want every company in Silicon Valley. There will be no reason why anybody can't do it. If these folks who have been under the ground, vilified and beaten up for all of these horrible practices culturally, and if they can rise from that, there is no reason why anybody else can't.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that I want to be my legacy for this time period in Silicon Valley, it's that. You know,
cool.
so now I've forgotten like, okay, change the brand and create the brand. I'm going to do that because I do that well. I could do that, no problem.
Sure.
But the real legacy needs to be breaking this cycle. Like that has to be it. Like I can't leave this and not have made a difference so that the pipeline is full of people who don't look anything like the people who are currently in Silicon Valley.
Right. Well, you're doing it. You're amazing. This is awesome.
We're going to do it.
I feel like I want to talk for another hour, but I got to wrap it up because I got another interview here in 5 minutes. Which, can you tell Sarah to push it a few minutes, please, for me? Okay, this is the final 3 questions.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Final 3 questions. I want to ask so much more, but
speed round, or how does this work?
No, I mean, no.
Okay.
Whatever opens up. It can be fast. It can be slow. It can be whatever makes sense. The first one is called the 3 truths. So I ask this to all my guests at the end of every episode.
Yes.
Imagine this is your last day many years from now. And you've accomplished everything you want. You've made all the change and impact in the world that you want to make for your legacy. You've done whatever you want personally, family-wise, whatever may be. You've done it.
Yes.
Lived a full, rich life.
Amen.
But for whatever reason, all the information you put out there, your speeches, the books you write, whatever it may be, they're all erased from time. So all people have is this piece of paper that you're about to write down.
Yes.
3 things you know to be true. And you got to write down 3 things you know to be true, and that's all that the world can have to remember you by. What would you say are your 3 truths or 3 lessons that you would share with the world?
Okay, well, maybe this is a little unfair because I actually just
I
just gave a speech yesterday for Forbes Under 30 Summit.
Great.
Where I talked about my 5 truths.
Perfect. So top 3.
Okay, see, why you got to do that? Okay, top 3. I've talked a lot about it. So 1 is to follow your gut, right? That it will never steer you wrong. Like, don't make the lists, the pros and cons, and weigh it out. Because the only reason we do those things is because we're trying to talk ourselves into something we know we shouldn't do. That's the only reason you do the list, because you're like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to rationalize to myself, But it's like your gut told you don't do that thing.
Right,
and you writing down a list as to why you should, So that's 1. 2, oh, man. Bring your whole self to every situation, whether it's work or relationship or whatever else. Bring your whole self, right? Because I think especially in work and it's in corporate life particularly, we always feel like we need to hide part of it because the evidence of what is successful most of the time looks nothing like us. And I'm not saying us as in Black women. I'm just us in general, anybody.
Yeah.
There's a very slim definition of what success is supposed to be and what it looks like. So we often shave the sides of ourselves that are not that thing.
Right.
If it doesn't benefit any of us. And isn't it the world so much more bright and colorful and amazing if we were to bring all of us and our whole thing to the work? So that's 1. And then the 3rd, this is a tough one, the last one. To be kind. Be kind to ourselves and to other people. I explained about that moment on the bed with, my husband on our anniversary where it's like, I just wish I'd been more kind to him, and to myself in the process of our relationship. So be kind.
Yeah, those are great truths. I want to acknowledge you for a moment, Boz, for your incredible uniqueness and your voice, and for making an impact on so many people by breaking barriers, by standing up for what you believe in, following your intuition, and showing other people what's possible for their life. I think it's unbelievable, the example you're setting on how we should all be living our lives. So thank you for showing up powerfully and fully and as yourself.
Don't make me cry, because I cry easy. You know what I mean?
Before I ask the final question, where can we connect with you online, or how can we support your mission, or anything that we want us to be aware of? Where do you hang out the most on social media?
Yes, I hang out on social media, mostly on Instagram.
Yeah.
Badass Boz.
Badass Boz.
Correct.
B-O-Z.
That's correct.
Got it.
Yes, and on Twitter, same name.
Got it.
That's mostly where I share anything, everything. Yeah. I've been told I overshare. I don't care.
Got it.
You know what I mean? So you'll find me like living my truths,
Great.
Or in a bikini. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Open for all to see. No problem. Yeah. So that's where I am.
Cool. Awesome. Is there anything you'd like us to take action on, or anything that you want us to be aware of?
Yeah. I want everyone to cheerlead this moment in time. For what I'm doing in Silicon Valley. I think there are enough people who point fingers and say that there's something wrong. There's not enough people applauding the small wins. And that's what we need, encouragement. Because when you have encouragement, then other people feel emboldened to help.
Yeah.
When there's so much finger pointing and bad, sort of stories and people downing it, then no one wants to help. So I would ask that people help in that they encourage. It's like I recognize that the company and some of the actions are not always positive, but let's applaud the good things. Let's be loud about that, as loud as we are when it's negative.
Right. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
The final question is, what's your definition of greatness?
Oh, definition of greatness. Oh my God, that is such a hard question. Jesus, Lord on high, Father God, help me. My definition of greatness. Oof. It's like living at 100%. The totality of things, that whole circle, unbroken. There's so much power in that. It's like, have you ever tried to squeeze a circle and try to break it? You really can't, because it's like the pressure is on every side. You can break a stick. We can't break a circle when you try to apply pressure to it. And I feel like the same thing is for our lives. If you are living your whole complete truth, the whole completeness of yourself, you can't break. I'm not going to break because I'm living my whole circle.
That's great. Boz, you're amazing. I'm so glad we got to connect.
Oh my
Thank you very much.
This was so awesome.
You're like a sister now, so thank you for being on.
This is what I'm telling you. We're in love.
We're connected.
This is
We're
so
connected.
great. This is so great.
I appreciate you. Thank you
and we're
very much.
going to go back to Ghana together.
I'm in.
I'm saying that now. My tension
Let's do
is
it.
in the air.
Let's do it.
Seriously.
I'm going to come build a school with me.
I mean, yes.
Let's do it.
A girls' academy.
Okay. Well, I work with Pencil Promise, and they build schools their own way, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's do it with an organization.
Listen, I'm down for it.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
I'm in.
Oh, my God. It's amazing.
Cool. Boz, thank
You
you.
guys.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
This is great.
This is awesome.